I'm not exactly sure how this is going to work technically. We have 4 speakers making up a panel. All have spoken to us before and have left indelible memories. They are Dorretta Maynard, an athlete, an athletics team coach for Sale Harriers, a poet, a model, and an actress. Trevor Lynch. Would you like to wave, Trevor? There he goes, there he goes. An actor, a comedian, a presenter, a Mossfordian, raised in Moss Side and Salford. Our dear sister Malaika, a Manchester-based interfaith minister who has dedicated her life to diversity, peace, and forgiveness. And Elaine Clarke-Williams, who has wrought the richness of vast experience to her present role as head of neighbourhoods, confidence and equality team at the Greater Manchester High Sheriff's Trust. And the topic they are addressing is becoming anti-racist. I think if we ask Dorretta to speak for 2 minutes, then we'll pass on to Trevor, Malaika, Elaine, and see what develops out of the panel.
Good evening, everybody. Wow. The speakers tonight have just been absolutely amazing. There's been some great knowledge, some great revealing from out of it, and it just makes me so proud to know that people actually want to try and make a difference now. You know, it's long awaited, and I don't want it to be no self-pity, because there's no self-pity in this. There's no self-pity. It's real, and it's, you know, but I'd like to thank Malaika first for her fabulous light introduction and welcoming. It was truly a beautiful opening. Paula Binner, your presentation was valuable historical information. Anthony, knowledge is power. You know, the Christianity, enslavement and control. Deanne, your poems, always beautiful, always heartfelt. And Sue Cockrell, thank you for being so real, so open and so honest. You know, I just wrote a few things down. I wrote, knowledge is power, value is purpose. Knowledge is growth, value is genealogy. Value true knowledge, as knowledge will give you value. Value your growth, as your purpose has knowledge, because your genealogy is not to die. And that is so important. We can't keep brushing things under the carpet. You know, we have to find a way to deal with inclusion and to find that people are equal in the way that we're supposed to be treated. You know, where did this come from? Where did it start? I know Paul talked about the different histories when he went through, and I'd love to come on one of your courses, Paul, but where did it all start? What made it happen? Why? What is the fear of? What are they afraid of? What is it that we have or we do that make white people think they have to suppress us in that way? And how do we deal with it? How can we break that? Thank you.
Trevor, can you speak now?
Well, to be honest, Dorretta's done everything I was going to say. But obviously, just to reiterate, you know, everybody's been fantastic, the whole event and everything. very, very enlightened. Like I said, I think as one of the black members in the room, it is very encouraging to see more more white people getting involved in the issue of not only being non-racist but anti-racist. Because as we know, there is a massively different to that. You know, Sue spoke with honesty and transparency. I put up in the chat group there a comment. I read something today. I'll just read it out again, what I put in the chat group, because I was thinking, how am I going to open this? And this was put in by, there's a group called the Black Curriculum who are pushing for Black history to be taught in school. Like Paul said, I think Paul said, when you talk about history, it's defined as white history. There isn't any Black history. I do quite a lot in schools. What I push for is Black British history. In October, Black History Month, everything's pushed as Black History Month, but we always look to the States. It's always about the United States. I think what we forget in England, that we have a lot of Black history in England. I don't know if people are aware, but every Sunday at 9 p.m, the BBC are doing a series of films about Black Britishness. Yesterday was about the Mangrove 9, which were 9 people who were jailed and violently abused and tried to be imprisoned back in the 60s. And the BBC are doing this I think there's 5 programs, 9 p.m. on a Sunday. But what I was going to say was, becoming non-racist and anti-racist does resonate, I think, like Sue said, fear within white people. It becomes quite awkward. And at one stage, I even got to the point where I don't really want to discuss racism with white people anymore, because it becomes then from a debate to they get angry, and because it resonates. And I think if I'm only to say, I mean, it says here, what I've wrote, it says, in short, awkward conversations need to be had. These awkward conversations need to be had, right? There are going to be upsetting, do you know what I mean? Truths are going to be told. And I may be wrong, and I'm going to speak in the general terms, but maybe 9 out of 10 of the white people in the room have been in company of other people who have made derogatory reference to Black people and thought it was disgusting. Yeah, didn't agree with it, but you didn't say anything. And non-racism is someone who, doesn't agree with it, but there is no action. Anti-racism is about action. Now, the difficulty is when you, as a white person, speak about that to your white friends, some won't like it. Some stop becoming your friends because then they see you have a sympathy more towards the Black people type of thing. And this is the awkward conversations that we have to have. Within our own family, we have it. I don't allow my Black family to say anything derogatory about white people. I won't have it. I teach in schools. I don't use the N-word, as I think I explained to you before. And I don't use the N-word. I don't like Black people using the N-word. It's not a term of endearment. Simple. But again, it comes from the Americanization of what we think is Blackness. And I just think, like you say, I said, you know, in the group, the only way to tackle this is become a more cohesive and open society, is to face the harsh reality of the current conditions. And we've got to talk about it. It's going to be painful. People aren't going to like it, but what else do you do? Thank you.
Thank you, Trevor. Malaika, the floor is yours.
For the first time, I don't know what to say. I'm really in awe of what we've created. I didn't think it would go this far. When Jane approached me and Warren in June about putting on some kind of event because some churches weren't connecting or understanding what Black Lives Matter was, I had no idea that we would be in a room with 60 odd people, with Paula Bina and Anthony Reddy, with Sue Cottrell. Wow, just shining this amazing light on us. I had no idea. And I just feel very elated and filled with joy. And in my glory is a word that I often use. For those that don't know, I lived on a white working class estate as a child, and I was called racist names most days. And I used to pray to God at the age of 8 and ask God to teach me how to teach the white children to be kind to me and other people of different colours. And I believe that that was my seed of me, of who I am today, because there was 2 things that I consciously did, and I'm 51 now. I was 51 on Friday. One is that I attract myself to you by your heart and mind, and not by how you look. And the other thing that I've consciously done is that I've constantly educated non-Black communities on my Black culture. And I've spent a lifetime doing that. And it's been interesting because since Black Lives Matter, I've had white members of different communities ring me or text me and say they apologise because I tried to challenge them about racism over the years. And only now, since Black Lives Matter from June, they're recognising and understanding where I was coming from all that time. I have lost some white friends, sadly, and one of them's actually an interfaith minister, believe it or not. But she's let me know that that's not her fight, and that me and her are on different paths at the moment. And she's about all lives matter, and she's definitely not opening the door to Black Lives Matter. And so one of the things that I've consciously chose to do is not force and preach my views to the non-Black communities about Black Lives Matter, because I want to put that energy to people like you who are in the room. There is something for me around accountability. And I know that you will be with people in your communities who you hear talk derogatively about Black people, and you don't do anything about it. And it's not that you have to fall out with them, but you need to be the voice of reason for them. I know that since Black Lives happened in June, not forgetting that it wasn't the first time, I know that a lot of white individuals have set up WhatsApp groups. I know that they've set up groups with the families, whereby different members of the family take on a different task each week relating to Black Lives Matter to educate and nurture. Joining other groups. We're on Zoom now, so you've got more opportunities to do so. If you choose to shut your door and just run and focus yourself in other areas, it will come back and bite you. And you need to believe that. It's not going to stay underneath a stone forever. Because one of the things that I believe is that since June, I felt in awe of the global response. And I'm just so glad, and I feel so blessed that I'm alive now, and that I'm not in the spirit world looking over and seeing the change. The global response since June, it just brings me so much awe, because I believe change is coming. Change is coming. And for me, I'm so grateful that I'm going to be able to be part of, even if it is 1% change, and I'm saying that as a minimal. And I don't want the change to happen when I've gone. I want the change to happen for my 2 boys now and for my future grandchildren and for the next generations. I want to see a bit of that change. I don't want to just do it for the future. I'm going to pass on to the next speaker. Thank you.
Thank you, Malaika. Elaine, would you like to unmute yourself?
I'm unmuted, and thank you everybody. I've been so inspired by this evening. Sue Cockrell, you have been absolutely amazing. If just your honesty and your frankness has been it's been life-changing for me, because I wasn't quite sure whether it existed, but I thank you, and I will always remember your words and some of the quotes that you've used and some of the references. So for me, around anti-racism, I was listening to everybody, and I think I've always been anti-racist, even though I didn't know what anti-racist was, and it was under the guise of being kind. And I remember at school, I'm not sure whether I told you, but I had a friend, not the one who cheated, there was another one, the one who copied off me. I had another friend who struggled, white girl, and she was very awkward, very bright but very awkward. So and she always used to get told off because she had writing like a spider, and the teachers would refuse to mark her homework, etc. So I would help her, and she would do her homework, and I would rewrite it for her and present it to the school teacher. So she was very grateful, and it was when she was 18 and went to university, I said to her, go and see if you're dyslexic. Anyway, she was. So all those years, she'd never been diagnosed as dyslexic. Anyway, her family really liked me. And I remember sitting in the house, and they were lovely to me, absolutely lovely to me. And I was eating some dinner, and the father came in, and he started just remonstrating about black people in a way that I wasn't comfortable with. And I remember putting my knife and fork down and saying, I'm sorry, Mr. Little, I won't be able to come to your home anymore if you keep speaking like that, because it makes me very uncomfortable and it's not right. So the same old thing was, oh, it's not about you, Elaine. And I said, well, I feel very much it is. And I said, and I'm very uncomfortable in your home. So I picked my coat, bag, whatever, and I said, unless you make a concerted effort not to speak like that anymore, I said, I can't come back to your home anymore. And I left. And at secondary school, Mrs. Little was waiting for me the next day, and she said, Elaine, please come back, we're really sorry. And I just thought, oh, I've got him now. So I just said, well, your language has to change. I'm not listening to any more P words, N words, or anything like that. And that was the journey that I started off. It was the fact that if I can make a man and a woman in their own home change the way, the language that they use, I could do anything. So that was me being vocal. And I don't think there is any magic tool or anything to being anti-racist. It is just about being kind, and it's about just standing up for what's right and calling out what's wrong. And I taught my daughter to do it. I call people out, and I think that's why I'm in so much trouble at work, because I do call people out, but it's something I didn't learn. It was always with me, and I think it's in everybody. And I think we just, as Sue said, it's really difficult, because there's a lot of times I could have kept quiet and I would have benefited in some way, but it's just not right. So I think it is just digging deep within us all, and getting a little bit uncomfortable. And when we're uncomfortable, we're making a difference. Something is changing. So it's just being uncomfortable. That's me.
I'm sorry, I forgot your house. And if it was so unforgivable, how comes you wanted to get back to
Elaine, thank you very much.
Could somebody mute, please? There's a TV in the background.
I
think it's Elaine's, don't worry.
Is Warren back?
Margaret, sorry, can I just interject?
Yeah.
It's one thing I want to say, actually, and it was in relation to Dorretta. I think when white people talk about Black Lives Matter, I think what they have to understand is, if you look at Dorretta now and her lovely husband, now I've known Dorretta and her husband from a long way, from afar. I'm going to say that man worships the ground that woman walks on. That is just an understatement. You know what I mean? It's just an understatement. But I think what has to be said is, when you're discussing about Black Lives Matter, the emphasis has to be put on that black people don't want to be higher than white people.
No.
They want to be level. So when Dorretta and her husband walk down the street, they don't want people to go, look at that black woman with that white man. They just want people to go, look at that couple. And sure, we know Black Lives Matter has been overtaken by agitators, etc., and there's all these politics get into it. But the average person in the street, 99% of the people who I know Black Lives Matter, just want things to be equal. But when I see these two in the room, we're looking at them now as a couple. We don't look and go, oh, it's just a black woman with a white man. You know? And I think that's got to be important. I think that's why sometimes white people are scared of talking about Black Lives Matter, because in their heads, they see the agitated side and not the people who want what it's about. It's not about that being higher than that. It's about that being equal. Thank you, Margaret.
Can I just say something?
Well said, Trevor. Sorry, Malaika.
Okay, it's fine.
Give Trevor a round of applause for that. Brilliant.
I just want to call Sue. Sue, you've got some messages in the chat that people want to answer. For you to answer. You don't know how to do it. Okay, let's see if we can get you. But there's some people were asking you some questions earlier on.
Hang on, I think the first question, I think Olufemi has been waiting ages for a question. So Olufemi, do you want to unmute yourself? I think I've unmuted you.
Yeah, you have unmuted me. Thank you very much. I'm sorry, I joined this this conversation late. I saw the invite very late, but I want to appreciate what everybody has been saying since I joined. But somebody asked a question the other time, or said it while he was talking, that what can we do? I think if we are going to do anything, my concern is the issue of saying Black Lives Matter is more aggressive. And that is why there is an issue. In a way, if you are protesting peacefully, Black Lives Matter, blah. But my concern is when we differentiate ourselves, saying I'm black, you are white, that is where the problem is. And I'm sorry to say this. There's some people are discussing on the radio and they were talking about black, and I said, hang on. What I know as black is something like this that is black. I'm not black. And what I know is white is something like this. This is white. So how come we are talking about white, black, or anything? Why can't we just forget about color and see ourselves as human? Then maybe we can move forward from there. But by the time we begin to use color to differentiate, that is where the problem is. And some people will be taking, oh, yeah, we know that is the problem initially. People talk, oh, this one is this one is that. But now that we know better, we are all human beings. Let's see ourselves as one. That is when we can come this. But as long as we still continue to say, I'm black, you are this, then we're going to have problem. That is my concern. So why can't we just forget about colors and move on with our life as human beings? And then see whether there will be change or not. Thank you.
Would you like me to answer that?
Yes, please go.
I think any of our speakers that want to answer that, please say something.
I hear you, my brother, and I hear what you're saying. There's a theory that this group has to start off with. It's not that all lives don't matter. And that's not what we believe. But in this content and in this situation right now, right here, unfortunately, Black lives are in danger. And not just here in Manchester, but globally across the whole world. And my parents came here in the Windrush. My grandparents and my parents came here in the Windrush. And I know for me, 51, I've experienced daily, yearly racial brutality in schools, in the medical system. But there was a huge story about me and my family. A policeman, he hit about 7 of us only in the weekend of Easter. It was a national story all over the country. It even went abroad. And we're actually suing the police now. And when we start saying that we're all the same, we're all equal, we've got a lot more work to do before we get there. And unfortunately, us as Black people, and I know you're African, and I know I'm from a Caribbean culture, and we both know we've had a very different journey. However, we've got a long, long, long way to go yet before we can look at it as all lives matter. I hope I've explained that to you in the right content. Because we're not forgetting other people. We're not saying that our race is the only one that needs any preferential treatment. But what we are saying is that,
Malaika, I don't think that was his question. Paul, do you want to come in here?
I was just going to say that one of the first things I ever learned, in actual fact, I've got a copy of the damn thing here. It's something I put together. This thing I put together in about 1985. And it's about the developments of race and racism as a theory, a concept. When my brother Olufemi is saying, when we think in this way and whatever, if you've been educated in Europe, in Britain, you've been hit with white supremacy through a theoretical framework. The writer Peter Fryer did a book called Staying Power, and in it, he gives 3 phases of the development of race theory, from the idea of what he calls demonology, which is all about Black as negative, Black as evil. In fact, even the term negative itself, nega, means Black. So the way that it's infused in language. He then goes on to plantocratic racism, which were the ideologies and the theories of the planter classes to substantiate enslavement. Then it goes into the pseudo-scientific phase, which were these people dealing with things like phrenology, aesthetics, intelligence, and race hierarchy. So when we're talking, if we've been to school, I was just remarking the other day, it's my daughter's birthday on the 11th of November. 27 years ago, I was at Trafford Bar tram station, and I saw a guy, I looked at this guy, he looked familiar. And by the time I reached central Manchester, I'd listened to his accent, and it was Professor Hans Eysenck. This is a man who, in his teens, was sat in Nazi, Hitler Youth classrooms. There's photographs of him in there. He then invented a thing called intelligence quotient. So IQ testing. So all of these things I'm saying, it's just we get an idea that we have our own ideas and opinions. And I'm afraid what I have to say to you that overwhelmingly we have these things. Now, I know when I go to Niger, Brother Olufemi, I'm a white man, Onyocha or Oibo, yes? And so in Nigeria, I go there, I can turn around as much as I say, my name is Obinna, I'm Igbo now. And they go, but you're white now. So even back home there, you know that you're on a different flex. So this is the kind of thing I'm trying to put to you. Overwhelmingly, we've been conditioned mentally, and we have to go through these evaluations of healing and redesigning things. So that's all I say about that.
Can I just say something? Is it okay if I just say something?
I know Dorretta wanted to answer the previous question
Okay.
as well. Amanda first, then Dorretta. Then I think we might have to wind up.
Yeah, I think when Olufemi, you know, I hear what you're saying with regards to using black and white and the color thing. We shouldn't be using it as we do. But when I think the black and the white is very, very prominent, and that's what people say and that's what they do. It's gone from colored to black, and now it's brown. My grandson was in school. He's a 9-year-old, and the children at 7 years of age, the children said to him, "Trey, you can't play with us because you're brown. My mom said because you're brown." Now, he didn't understand that. He says, "What did that mean?" You know, so when we get labels like that and saying the color thing like that, the children are now taking it from colored, black, and now saying brown. You know, we're saying people of color. I've put in the chat the word human, H-U-E for you, which is color, and man, human. Everybody is a color, whether you're black, white, pink, or blue, we all have some kind of color in us. So we are humans. Yeah, we're the people of color, whatever you want to say. But the way that people interpret it, to like Paul said, where black is a negative, it's an angry thing, it's a fearful thing, it's an aggressive thing. If you look at black, black is soil. Black has to be something strong and powerful that grows something, because it's not dead. Black is something that is not dead. There's power within black that grows something. You know, the ground, the earth is black. So I don't want to be put in that situation where we're going to be saying black, white, black, white, black, white. My husband, I'm going to just tell you this story. Me and my husband were out, and somebody said to him, "Oh, what are you doing tonight? Who are you with?" And he went, "I'm here with my wife." And they went like this. "Oh, where is she?" And he went, "Oh, that beautiful lady over there." You know what they said? "Which one?" They didn't know who it was. So he said, "Her there." So I came towards him and they went, "Her there." And "Oh, that black lady." He went, "No, the beautiful woman that I just told you about." Because he didn't want them to say that's my black wife, because there was white girls stood there that I was with as well, wasn't I? And I said to myself, he was right to say that. Don't say, "Oh, you mean that black one?" No, the beautiful woman that stood over there, which one do you consider beautiful? Because to him, I was his beautiful wife. But they thought, "Oh, the black woman." And he went, "No, the beautiful woman stood there." And they didn't know what to say, because there was no need for them to say the black woman. But anyway, that's my answer to that. But thank you for raising it, Femi. Thank you.
That's it.
Right, just thank you very much for saying that, Dorretta. I wasn't going to speak tonight because it's my first night here. But one of the things that I've realized is that, you know, we have absolutely been shamed for being black, and standing up becomes a challenge. And for that reason, sometimes we want to sort of like avoid the pain, avoid the actual dealing with the reality. I mean, you know, in an ideal world, it would be lovely for all of us to be okay, equal, and whatever with each other. But we need to go through this. You know, we need to go through the whole thing of feeling that, you know, it's not okay to be, for people to be the way that they are. Anyway, I'm not going to take too much time, but I just wanted to say, I wanted to raise the issue of shame. I come from a psychotherapy space, and that's where I'm coming from. Okay, thank you. Thank you for giving me the space.
Thank you, Amanda. Very clearly, there is so much more we have to cover, to look at. I am so glad we've had the opportunity tonight to start to understand some of the theory behind what we're facing. And very clearly, we need the academic, the psychological, the evidential stuff to really fully understand. That doesn't mean we don't go out and try and change things. We have to change it. Olufemi, we have to get to a world where what you're saying happens. We're a long way from that.